Fanatic. My name is Mike. That was awesome. I'm from Morgantown, West Virginia. I should say Westover, because that seems like a little better town than Morgantown right now. But I still love Morgantown. Even though I've known Barbara for 28 years, my clean date is September 26, 1996. I've been clean a little over 19 years. When I was clean the first time, it was about pleasing mom and dad and getting a girl, having a kid, getting the house, getting the car, getting all that stuff, and quit going to meetings, and lost it all. I didn't have it anymore because I got high. I'm a little nervous. I don't know where I'm going to go with this. I do tend to get a little animated. Shit. Breathe. Let's see here. The only reason I go down to paint her house is because she's a hell of a cook. And I eat good. And the recovery is just awesome. I'll talk a little bit about my upbringing. We started out in Morgantown. I grew up there. I was born and raised there. Hard-working, middle-class family. No real issues other than, I was the only kid that went from kindergarten to a beer garden. My dad picked me up every day. He was self-employed. He had a successful construction company. My mom was a homemaker. Her favorite thing that she used to always talk to me about was how much she hated Morgantown and beat me with a wooden spoon. But I hated my dad more, only because he expected so much from me, and I always felt like I couldn't deliver. Feelings. There's a lot going on inside of me right now. There was times when I really hated my dad, and I expressed that to my mother, and then she told my dad, and then he didn't like that, so that created even more hate. And I'm talking hate, and I think everybody here knows what that means. So what happened was, God, there's just so much that's happened in 19 years of being clean and not doing step work, and then getting fired by Mike C. from Charleston, and then, and this went on for 6 years. When you don't call your sponsor, and he finds out through the grapevine, because this is a small state, and small Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous in West Virginia. He finds out through the grapevine 2 days before I get married that I'm getting married, and that didn't go over very well. Calling your sponsor is important, because if you have a sponsor like Mike C., he'll fire you, and he did. So when he fired me, and I'm going to get back to the dad thing, and when I heard that, we might finish before them, well, that's not going to happen, because I'm going to outlast them. When he fired me, I frantically could not find a sponsor, so I asked Barbara to sponsor me, because she tells it like it is. She had some step work and a little bit of recovery at that time, I think. And she could fix me. She could fix this whole thing here. Well, that didn't work out too good because I still had issues being a man. And having a woman as a sponsor at that time was not going to work for me. Because I didn't know how to be a man. And I remember talking to her about that. And I remember talking to another guy that Mike C. sponsored and still sponsored. Should have fired him first before me because, he never called either. But I asked him, I said, do you think Mike would sponsor me again? Because I for the life of me, I couldn't find a sponsor. So he said, well, give him a call. So I called Mike up, and I said, look, I can't find another sponsor. Barbara's a good sponsor, but I still have some shit I need to work out with being a man. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. You call me every Thursday, and this is how this dude worked. You call me every Thursday, and if you miss one fucking Thursday, I'm firing you again. So, and believe me, that scared me because I didn't want to get high, and I was so sick because I didn't do any step work. I tried doing step work with Barbara. I was sick. You're talking about 6 years clean and just sick. Because I didn't do step work. I had a wife. I had a kid. No step work. Wife. A wife. My whole world was my wife. And I was sick. So I agreed to the terms of every Thursday. Well, what happened was I called him every Thursday for probably about 6 years after that. And then I missed the Thursday, and I got so scared that I missed the Thursday. So I called him up on Friday and said, man, I'm sorry I missed Thursday. You're not going to fire me. Because I thought he was going to fire me. He says, dude, you've been calling me for 6 years straight on Thursday. It's okay. So, I'm like flipping out, and then I realized it was okay. What happened with Mike was learning how to deal with day-to-day living, because I didn't know how to do that, even with clean time. A lot of it was, going to work, having a regular job, being able to keep a job. My first 3 years clean, I couldn't keep a job. I was, thank God I was like the handyman in the fellowship. I go fix this, or I go fix that, build that deck, paint that house, It's funny, I'm still doing that same shit, So, I'd fix their cars, and I can fix just about anything. And if I can't fix it, I'll figure it out. And that's not good for an addict. Because I like to fix shit. I'm going to fix my wife. I'm going to fix her. She's going to be the way I want her to be. Not. That ain't happening. God bless her. And a lot of where I'm coming to all this dad stuff and, my wife stuff and working with my sponsor and Barbara and Mike C. About life, and this gift that's, she talked about the gift. There's this gift here. Trying to bring this all together because it's like I'm all over the place right now. Mike C. taught me how to be a man through step work. First step, accept my disease in my life for what it is today. And what that means to me today is it is what it is. You go on, you ask for help, and you make a decision to be with this woman or to have that job. You live that decision, and believe and have faith that it's going to be okay. what I never really dealt with, I mean, Mike was that kind of person, like, work hard, make money, be happy. Those kind of real concrete things, that I needed at that time. So what happened was one of the things I had to deal with was my dad. My dad was the kind of person where, I'd be working on the job site, and I'd walk across the job site, and he'd come bolting out of the job trailer, coming over, running at me and say, "If I ever see you walk across this job site without anything in your hand, you're going home." That's the kind of man he was. So I was like, oh shit, So every time I walked across jobs, I had a hammer, a piece of rebar, a rock, something, It didn't matter what it was, because he scared the shit out of me, If there was a man that ever, instilled fear in me, it was him. Thank God for that, because a lot of that fear brought about. I gave him a lot of respect, because I was scared to death of him, What I learned through Mike is not to have fear in that respect, with my dad. One of the things I learned with Mike, doing step work, because I don't really want to get into any details of steps. I mean, either you're working with your sponsor or you're not, and you're sick, I've been sick by not working step work, so I started doing step work, and I started getting better, and I was able to deal with the fear. I was able to deal with the fact that if my dad died today, would you be okay with it? Well, at the time when he asked me that, well, hell no. I still hate him, But that time came. I had to deal with that. I had to deal with the fact that my dad was dying, and I was okay with that. It's a hell of a thing to see a man die. I've seen it twice in a period of 3 months or 4 months, something like that. My dad died, and then my uncle died, and I had to watch them both die. Basically, like putting the dog to sleep. I didn't really know what to think of that. Sometimes I still don't. And I don't know that I'll ever be okay with it, but, it is what it is. I think the hardest thing, and it's funny, my mom, she's dating this guy in recovery who has like 30 years clean. And when Mike C. died, that was harder than my dad. Because this guy sponsored me for 16 years. With a 1-year sabbatical, because he fired me. So when he died, and I got the word about 10:30 in the morning, I literally dropped to my knees and basically fell down. And I was fucking miserable. You talk about something that fucking hurt. He was 56 years old. He was 10 years older than me. That was 4 years ago, this June 1st. He is probably the first man that I ever really loved, in the sense that it was okay to love my dad. It was okay to love my mom. I can't say any more about this person. He saved my life. He did. That man saved my fucking life. And I'm grateful for that. So where do we go now? think what I want to talk about is where I'm at today. The step work that I've been doing now is more about, allow myself to feel the feelings that I'm feeling. And I'll probably get back to, some sponsorship stuff with him, and I want to talk about Barbara a little bit. For once in front of her, I didn't really know that I had a lot of shame and guilt, inside of me, or this thing called self-centered fear. I had other fears, but this self-centered fear is like spiritually bankrupt me. Shame and guilt, I know you're supposed to, maybe I wrote about that stuff. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm going through the steps again, and we're dealing with those things. And I realize, a lot of the things that I say on a daily basis, like when I talk to my employer, when I need something, and I'm one of the most unneedy people when it comes to my employer. And I walk up to him when I really have to find something out. And first thing I'll say is, I really hate to be a pain in the ass. And he'll look at me and say, "You're never a pain in the ass. You never whine. You never complain. You never say nothing." He says, "Don't say that." Yeah, but I really hate to be a pain in the ass, And it's like, and one of the things I'm learning is that's a result of me being ashamed of the things that I went through, or I feel, or going through at that moment. Sometimes I'm ashamed that I exist, and I don't even know that whenever I'm saying those things, because there's a level of confidence that I'm working on in order for me to not say, "Well, I hate to be a pain in the ass," because really deep down I feel like I'm a pain in the ass. Sometimes I am, but it's okay. Just ask Barbara, So, this is getting down to submitting, work hard, make money, be happy. That all worked real good for a long time, but now it's more about, what the hell am I feeling, and how do I deal with that without feeling like a piece of shit? Because I really don't want to feel like a piece of shit anymore. So my goal is to work with my sponsor, Barbara, in dealing with these feelings and feel like I'm worth something. I know that I'm worth something, but that's the problem. I'm thinking this shit. I want to hold my hand, hold my chest out a little bit, not puff it up, but just I want to hold my head up high, and be okay to the point of whatever's going on. But that'll probably never happen because I'm an addict. I live in self-obsessed fear. But it's just for today. I don't know. Maybe it will be short. I don't know. I got 2 teenage kids. My daughter just turned 14 today, and my son turned 16 Monday. God, I wish they were like that. Oh, shit. I'd change a shitty diaper any day over what's going on now. Oh, man. I love my kids. Thank God I'm not a teenager. It's like that saying, you wait till you have kids, Mike. You got what's coming to you. I got it twice. Because I tell you, they're tough. My daughter's the toughest one. It's funny, my wife, she keeps saying, she's a lot like me, she's a lot like me. And I'm like, oh no. And then I try and bring it back like, well, no, she's a lot like me, she's a lot, no, fuck, no. But it's going to be okay. It is. It's going to be okay. I really wanted my kids to be here to hear their dad speak. I really wanted them here. I mean, I was going to drag them by the hair down here. Get your ass down here. I want you to hear this shit. I got some good stuff to tell you. You got to listen to me. Not a chance. Not a chance at all. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to give them the CD. You got to hear this. Come on now. There's some good shit here. That's up to them. I want to control everything with them so bad because I don't want them to do the same shit that I did. And that's that worthlessness. That feeling of being a piece of shit. I want so bad because my daughter's right there. My son, he's getting out of it. I hope he stays out of it. But my daughter, she's so much into feeling like a piece of shit. And the thing of it is I understand. And come on, let's have some empathy here. Come on, give it to me, give me. But it ain't happening. It will not happen, and I want to force it. It's kind of like a ball. You squeeze this little rubber ball, and the more you squeeze it, the more resistant you get. And it's like the more I want to take her in, the more she resists it. So it's like that surrender. When we surrender control, we gain a power far greater than ourselves. And I'm trying real hard to get there. And today was, I think, my first day of doing that with them. Because they did not want no part of coming down here. So I did other things. I got my son guitar strings for his guitar. I set my daughter up for art lessons and stuff like that. So I guess if she's high and she's working on the pottery, it ain't no big deal, I guess. I don't know. I would have never done anything like that. I'd be driving around and shit like that, I don't know. I know how to get high. I know how to use. I choose not to do that today, one day at a time. I think one of the things I've talked about more than anything, it's real important. And this brings me back to Mike. I had one of the worst days of my life in front of a Catholic church in Morgantown because I was trying to start a meeting to fix me. And the priest he didn't want no part of it because I didn't present myself well. I wasn't ready. But I was trying to find something to fix me. And of course, he's trying to call me, for a week now, wanting to know what the heck's going on. Finally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick it up. And I pick up the phone, and he's like, what's going on? What are you doing? How come you want to answer? Why don't you call me? And this, and that, and the other. And I told, I was scared to death. And I told him, I said, to be honest with you, Mike, the only thing I can do right now is not pick up. And I thought he was going to yell at me. And he said, well, sometimes that's all we can do. And it changed. But my whole perspective on my shit changed at that moment. Because one, it was so simple. And two, that's all I had to do was not pick up. So I didn't pick up. And I felt better because I talked to him and he said it was okay not to pick up. So damn, my brain. That's why it's it's like nuts. I do some work for this man I've known all my life. Probably since I was 5 years old. I used to be in love with his daughter when we were 5. She was my first girlfriend all through like 5 to 6th grade, or at least I thought she was. My relationship with this man over 40 years, I remember seeing him. He was one of those crazy, hard-working, let's get her done kind of dudes, and jump off the wall into the pool, kind of stuff. And God, I want to be just like him. I love that dude. I used to work for this guy, and I got to talk about this. Caused a lot of damage. My disease, I got hurt. My disease made me do some things that, I called my wants, I want this because this happened to me. I'm owed this because this happened to me. Fuck him, this happened to me. Well, through doing step work with Mike, I was able to make amends to this man. And I was scared to death. When I moved from Charleston up to Morgantown, I seen this guy do some masonry work on one of the sororities. He never worked on fraternities. It was always sororities, And I was on the same side of the street, and I had like 3 years clean, and I never did a 4-step or any 8-step or 9-step or 6-step or 7-step or anything like that. But I did my 3rd step, 1, 2, 3-step waltz kind of shit, And I seen this guy, and I created a lot of pain from my actions when I was using. But I seen him working at this sorority, and I got scared to death. And I got so scared that I was looking around. I put my hat down like this, and I ran across the road. I was looking back to see if he seen me and stuff like that, because I was scared. I couldn't deal with it. There was no way I could deal with this guy. No way. Because I caused a lot of pain in my active addiction. Well, when I started doing step work with Mike, and I actively started making amends, he was at the top of the list. I knew this man since I was 5 years old. I caused a lot of pain, and I went 3 different times to make amends. And the first 2 times he wasn't there. The 3rd time he was there, he just got out of the hospital from open heart surgery. That day. And he still let me in his house to make amends. And it wasn't like, I'm sorry, I don't buy that. That doesn't work. That sorry stuff. My 14-year-old daughter does that all the time. I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry. Screw that. That doesn't work. So I had to do something tactful. And what that was is, I regret any pain that I've caused you and your family. Well, from that point on, unbeknown to me and what my higher power had me do was my relationship with this man is complicated, but soothing. He taught me how to lay in the grass and love it. I never knew how to do that. And I can't explain really what that really means, other than that I learned to love something like that for the first time. And I'll never forget that. I do work for him off and on now. He has my son now. And I love it. He's a very smart man. And I hope my son learns something from him. I'm very grateful to have this man in my life. The love that this guy has for everything, it has like resonated onto me. You know, I mean, Mike-C showed me love in one way. Barbara shows me love in one way. This man shows me love in another way. You know, and it's so intriguing to love everything. It's amazing. So my son works with him off and on. I do too. I actually asked him to come down here to listen to me speak. He had other arrangements. His wife, she had other plans, family things and stuff like that. I think from making not only that amends, but other amends that I've made was a turning point in my recovery. I mean, you know, you make that list. You know, I got all these defects and shortcomings and stuff. You know, that's every day. I mean, that's every day. You know, you know, it's whether I choose to deal with it or not. And you know, sometimes that blanket goes over my head. You know, screw it. You know. I made that list, and I was devastated. I felt totally worthless. And then my sponsor pumped me up, you know, and we start working on the 9th step, you know, and I became willing. And then when I started doing these amends, you know, it's like everything changed. Gave me a whole new sense of hope. Damn, I'm thirsty. The 10th step, and you know, and I don't know why I'm going in this order. It's meant to be, I guess. The 10th step for me, I wrote on it every day for over a year. Sometimes I mentally do it. I haven't written on it in a while because I'm on step 1, so I don't have to do step 10. You know, so. But it's made aware of me every day, you know, of when I need to make amends or not, because I feel like a piece of shit. So, you know, I kind of roll with it like that. Prayer and meditation. I pray all day long, off and on. I don't have to hit my knees. I can meditate anytime I want to, and I do. I should do more. I don't do more. Sometimes I'll do too much. I become obsessive and compulsive. I don't know. You know, some people who haven't had a spiritual awakening. Thank you. I believe, at least for me, I've had it since the day that I got clean. Because any time that I've had anything in my body, I was not there. But my first day clean, I didn't always do the right thing, but I never picked up, and I always learned something from that. And anytime I learned something, it was like, oh, okay, well maybe I shouldn't do this again. And sometimes I did do it again. I'm not perfect. I want to be. And I need to understand that other people aren't perfect either. I'm not always right. Ask my wife. We got in an argument last night because I wanted my daughter to be here, and I told her that she never stands behind me. And she told me that I shouldn't punish, and she started, giving me the definition of punish, and I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm going to get the dictionary out. I got the dictionary out, and I'm getting it out, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, damn, she's right. Oh, and I really didn't want to read it to her. I was like trying to find a way to, just brush it under the rug, stuff like that, because I didn't want to admit that I was wrong. She was right about the definition of punishment. And that sucked. That was like a big blow, That's horrible. That's horrible. I don't know. I work hard. I always had this fantasy of being I live in a dream world, a fantasy world. Ask Barbara. I'm always talking about coffee farm, macadamia nut farm, or this farm or that farm, corn farm, soybean farm, whatever. Because I want a fucking farm, So I want it, So I'm going to do whatever. If I can't get it, at least I want to think about it, I don't know what it is with a freaking farm. And I've done some crazy stuff in order to acquire that, being clean. And I have a hard time letting that go. I don't know why. Oh, that's right. I'm an addict. And sometimes when you get something in your head, and this has been going on since probably 2007. That's pretty sick. I'm trying real hard to come to terms with that. That was hard. And the reason I say that was hard because it's hard to let things go. How do you let go of stuff? Surrender to live. Let go and let God. I question too much. I think too much, and I just need to do more. If I would just quit thinking and just do, it would be okay. But I live in obsession, compulsion, and self-centeredness. So the only way that I can get out of that is call my sponsor, go to a meeting, work the steps, pray, for whatever that is. It talks about God as we understand it. Well, I don't understand it. I want a concrete answer on how to understand that. So I like to call it my higher power. That helps me out. I learned that from my very first sponsor in 1986, Scott H. I don't like calling it God, I don't like that at all. So I call it my higher power. I like that, and I've hung on to that even to this day. My first NA meeting was a halfway house up in Fairmont, West Virginia on Thursday night. And there's two things I learned how to do. I learned how to turn a styrofoam cup inside out without breaking it. And I learned that I was the lack of religion in this program. And that, I was in. I was in. This was where I was going to be. And I did that I went through treatment at that time. I haven't been clean that long. I relapsed after 6 years, like I said. But I remember going to this other fellowships meeting at this church, and they had this pool table. Mind you, when they had me in treatment, I didn't go through a detox center. And I remember I had like 5 or 6 hits of acid, and they put me right in this treatment center because my mom made me go there. And we were in this meeting, there's all these people from the treatment center and whatnot, and they had us playing pool And I was 20 years old. You can get clean and stay clean when you're young. And we were playing pool. I love playing pool. Well, there wasn't anybody in there that could beat my ass in pool that day because I loved it so much. I don't know what happened that day. That's the only thing I remember back then. Lack of religion, styrofoam cup, and pool. When I got out of treatment, Tracy Kay was there. The word around Westover, Morgantown was I'm getting out of treatment, and I go to the Wednesday night meeting at Drummond Chapel. A lot of history here. Phil Kay was at the meeting. He's sick. I love that guy. He's sick. I love him. He can bite one too. I sponsor 3 guys. I don't know. I don't really want to get into that right now. All I know is I'm with my sponsor right now. I need to talk to my sponsees this weekend. I got a lot of work to do. After Mike C. died, you kind of go back to. I went back to the same shit, familiar places and things in my head, under the blankets, the movies, the old lady, sex, candy. I love candy. I mean, them Reese cups. Oh my God! Thank God I got a high metabolism. I'd be huge. I mean, I would. I'd be huge. I eat at least 4 or 5 a day. After Mike died, I got real sick. I tried working with one sponsor and this sponsor. I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. I even tried geographical change. I tried to move in with my mom, to try something different. I couldn't do it. And, I don't know that it's whether I chose not to do it or not. It's just, I felt so hurt of that loss. But I'm getting over it. It's over. I got a new sponsor. I'm doing step work. I got wonderful people in my life today, my sponsees. We've developed a little better relationship. When shit hit the fan with my sponsor, I would call my sponsor because he's the first thing that would come to my mind. But, I don't know. I love this fellowship. I love my home group. I have no more to share. Thank you.